Okay, believe we are live. You guys know the drill. Let me just change this thumbnail right quick. If it wants to show up. Go. Okay, should be saved. Go back. Yeah. All right. So, forgive me if my voice sounds a little weird. It's pretty early. I just woke up about an hour ago. But yeah, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be learning to code today. We're going to be working on Python. Is there something on my desktop making audio noise? I guess something is. I don't know what is making noise on here, but something's making noise. Maybe if I put on my headphones. Maybe that's a good place to start. Oh yeah, what is this noise? Hold on. Let me mute that real quick. I need to find out where this audio is coming from. Oh, that was coming from my browser. Okay, so that was coming from my browser. Don't know what that was about. That was extremely interesting and very loud. Sorry about that. I didn't even realize I was going. I didn't have my headphones on yet. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to be doing some Python today. We're going to be doing this Python crash course book. This is what I used to learn on. I stopped learning like part way through. I got maybe like 5 chapters in and I kind of just stopped. And I want to get back to it. Like my biggest inspiration for it was my friend, not gonna say his name, just cause he's sworn to secrecy. No, like he just can't share a whole lot about what he does with people. So just out of respect for him, I'm not gonna say his name. But he's Mr. Big Bad Programmer now, and he's already moving on up. He went from junior developer to senior developer in like a year, which is unheard of at his. I don't want to call it a firm. It's not a firm. It's so hard to explain what he does without telling you where he works. um. Anyway, the second reason I want to do this is because of Pirate Software. He recently blew up on YouTube. Maybe some of you guys have heard of him. If you're a gamer at all, if you're interested in coding and watch any kind of coding videos, you probably come across his channel by now. He's had um he's been on Dr. K's Healthy Gamer GG videos. Pretty cool dude. He has a lot of really insightful things to say and kind of just inspired me to pick it up again. He has this one video called Make Games. And I've wanted to make my own game for a while, but never really knew how. So we're gonna get started here. And I'm gonna read this out loud just so you guys can see it. And I think this is a free download that you can just Google. I also bought the book a year ago, not realizing that I could have just found this. Anyway, so I'm gonna read it out loud for you. In this chapter, you will run your first Python program, hello world.python. First, you'll need to check whether a recent version of Python is installed on your computer. If it isn't, you install it. You also install a text editor to work with Python programmer. Text editors recognize Python code and highlight sections as you write, making it easy to understand. So first things first, we're going to be setting up our programming environment. Python differs slightly on different operating systems, so you'll need to keep a few considerations in mind in the following sections. We'll make sure Python is set up correctly on your system. So I am running PC, if it wasn't obvious enough. Python versions, every programming language evolves as new ideas and technologies emerge, and the developers of Python continue. First time powerful as writing this latest version Python 3.11, but everything is this book should write on Python 3.9 or later. In this section, we'll find out if Python is already installed in your system, whether you need to install a newer version. Appendix A contains additional details about installing the latest version of Python on each major operating system. So I already have Python installed, but it's over a year old at this point, so I'll probably just download the newest version just so that I can run through it with you guys. Running snippets of code. You can run Python's interpreter in a terminal window, allowing you to try bits of Python code without having to save and run an entire program. Throughout this book, you'll see code snippets that look like this. So this is the code snippet. The 3 angle brackets, this right here, is a prompt, which we'll refer to as a Python prompt. Indicates that you should be using the terminal window. The bold text is the code you should type in and then execute by pressing enter. Most of the examples in this book are small, self-contained programs that you'll run from your text editor rather than the terminal, because you'll write most of your code in the text editor. But sometimes basic concepts will be shown in a series of snippets run through a Python terminal session to demonstrate particular concepts more efficiently. When you see 3 angled brackets in a code listing, you're looking at a code and output from a terminal session, which are coding in the interpreter on your system in a moment. We'll also use a text editor to create a simple program called Hello World, every programmer's first program, it seems, that has become a staple of learning to program. There's a long-held tradition in the programming world that printing the message Hello World to the screen as your first program in a new language will help bring you good luck. We'll need it. Just kidding. We don't need luck. We're gonna grind. Such a simple program serves a very real purpose. If it runs correctly on your system, then any Python program you write should work as well. So about the VS Code editor, which is my what is it called? Text editor of choice. I've gone through brackets so far and VS Code. So far, I like VS Code way more. VS Code stands for Visual Studio, by the way. Visual Studio Code is a powerful professional quality text editor that's free and beginner friendly. VS Code is great for both simple and complex projects. So if you become comfortable using it while learning Python, you can continue using it as you progress to larger and more complicated projects. VS Code can be installed on all modern operating systems, and it supports most programming languages, including Python. You know what? I didn't check. I didn't check if my audio was okay, because last time I was doing this, and I didn't check my audio. That was Joe Rogan. Apparently no one could hear me. So real quick. Okay, it sounds fine. Oh, and I also forgot to upload this. Let me, real quick, just post this in my Discord. All right, post it in the Discord. Let's get back to it. Where was I? It's on all modern operating systems, and it supports most programming languages, including Python. Appendix B provides information on other text editors if you're curious about the other options. Thank you, Loud Bike. You might want to skim that appendix at this point. If you want to begin programming with me, you can use VS Code to start, then you can consider other editors. Once you gain some experience as a programmer, in this chapter, we'll walk you through installing VS Code on your operating system. If you already have a text editor installed and you know how to configure it, run Python programs, you're welcome to use that text editor instead. All right, so we're finally going to be getting to installing Python here. Python is a cross-platform programming language, which means it runs on all the major operating systems. Any Python program you write should run on any modern computer that has Python installed. However, the methods for setting up Python on different operating systems slightly vary, or very slightly. I don't know how I managed to swap those. In this section, you will learn how to set up Python on your system. You'll first check whether a recent version of Python is installed on your system and install it. If it's not, then you install VS Code. There are only 2 steps that are different for each operating system. Man, everyone around me just decided to start up all their loud freaking vehicles all at the same time. In the section that follows, you run hello world.python and troubleshoot anything that doesn't work. I'll walk you through this process for each operating system so you'll have a Python programming environment that you can rely on. We're only going to do Windows because that's what I have. I don't have a Mac that I can even record it on and like post later. It's just Windows. So sorry if you find this later and you're on Mac or Linux or whatever, because I can't help you. I'm sure there's a video somewhere else, or even just read the rest of this book. Python Windows. Windows doesn't usually come with Python, so you'll need to install it and then install VS Code. First, check whether Python is installed on your system. Open a command window by entering command into the start menu and clicking the command prompt app. So let's do that. Command prompt. All right. In the terminal window, enter Python in lowercase. If you get a Python prompt in response, Python is installed on your system. So let's check it. Python. Python 3.11.1. Installed December 6th of 2022. Oh, damn. I installed that forever ago, but you can also tell that this book kind of just came out right as I was looking to learn Python. If you see an error message telling you Python is not a recognized command, or the Microsoft Store opens, Python isn't installed, close the Microsoft Store. If it opens, it's better to download an official installer than to use Microsoft's version. If Python is not installed on your system, or if you see a version earlier than 3.9, you need to download a Python installer for Windows. And we're going to go to this link right here. All right. We're just going to copy that. We're going to close out of this really fast. Put that. And we're going to head to python.org. We're going to go to download. Windows. They're on 3.12 now. So we're just going to... 3.12.1, stable release. Okay, so this is the latest stable release, I believe. These are pre-releases if you want newer features or whatever, and you want to be on the most current one. These are typically a little bit more buggy. That's just the nature of pre-releases. You might run into a problem and it might crash, and unless you constantly back up your files, you might lose progress. So I recommend always going for the stable releases. So we're just gonna download 3.12.1. First maintenance release of 3.12. Cool. And if you already know what's going on and you understand all of this, go ahead and read it because I don't understand it. All right. We're just gonna go for the 64-bit installer. This is the one that most people should be downloading unless you yourself have installed a different kind of Windows. Just go for this one. This is what most of you have. And we're just gonna run it. Yeah. We're just gonna do that. So should be updating our Python. Okay, Ooh. I'm not entirely sure if I need to do this or not. We'll consult. Download saying you should see a button for downloading the latest Python. Yeah. Click the button, which I'll start download. Yep. Run the installer. Make add I make it easier configure. Damn, I think I did it wrong. We're gonna close this, and then we're gonna run it again. Oh Lord. We're gonna uninstall really quick. We're gonna reverse our process because I think I looked at it and was like, I don't know what that means. I should have just read. That's what happens when you don't read, kids. Okay. Make sure. Make sure now. Don't be like me. Even if I did do it, I wasn't paying attention enough. So we're gonna do it again really quick. Yeah, so we didn't do it. So we're gonna do that. And now we're gonna click install. Okay. Figure 1.1 shows this option selected. Yep, if I had just read a little bit. Okay, so that seems to be all that we really need to do. We don't really need to bother with that other thing. And for those of you wondering if you need like a strong PC for this, no, you don't. Now, I'm not gonna say you can use a potato of a PC because you are essentially running really rudimentary programs that aren't very efficient in what they do. They will probably take up a lot of your CPU power if you're just that bad at making programs. This is conjecture on my part, but from the way that I understand computers, that's this is going to be a mainly CPU intensive task. So the more threads your CPU has, the better. And that's just kind of generally true. Threads, to my understanding, just means how many things your computer can do at once. Like how many different things. Like this is a thing, this is a thing, this is a thing. My OBS is a thing. My live stream on YouTube is a thread. So the more threads, the better. Okay. We're just going to do it. F it, bro. Running Python on a terminal session. All right. This is going to be our first bit of like checking to make sure that we did it right. So we should open a new one. So let's do it again. Command prompt, lowercase Python, 3.12.1. Okay, we've successfully installed it. Okay, if you don't see this output, which is what we were just looking at, more detailed setup instructions in Appendix A. So if you fall under that category, just go ahead and check out Appendix A here at the bottom somewhere. Okay, that's the index. I assume appendix is further down. Maybe not. Or maybe it's further up. Oh, that's appendix E, D, C, B, A. Installation and troubleshooting. So, if you run into any problems during your install process, check out this section. It will be right under page 462 or 500 if you're also in this kind of window deal. So we're going to head back up. All right, here we are. Oh, okay. So we need to reopen command prompt. We're just going to move it over here. Type in Python again. And now that it gives us our little Python prompt, we're going to do this. So we're going to do our first bit of code. So we're going to start off with the print function. So to enable a function, you first type in the function, and then you use a, this is not a bracket. What is this called? Open parentheses. You use an open parentheses, and within this, you are telling this function what to do. So because this function is print, it's gonna print, like, it's gonna spit out whatever you say in here. It's just gonna tell you exactly what you say it, or tell it to say right here. And you need to include these quotation marks. These quotation marks are important because what is in here is gonna assume is different forms of code. You can do like equations, you can do lists, you can do a bunch of different things within this little parentheses. So the quotations is what's telling Python that it is it's just text. It is just gonna print out whatever like word that you have here. So you can see how these are in quotations. This is not the same kind of print that you're gonna be receiving. So you can see here that even though he said quotation, hello Python interpreter, there's no quotations around this. So in a similar fashion, we're gonna type that exact string, hello Python interpreter. And then we're gonna end it with a close parentheses. And as soon as we hit enter, it should spit out hello Python interpreter. We have just ran our first bit of code. Whether or not it's in our text editor, it's fine. You can technically run code from this. Okay, moving on. You should see the output hello Python interpreter. Anytime you want to run a snippet of Python code, open a command window and start a Python terminal session. To close a terminal session, press Ctrl Z and then press enter, or enter the command exit. So that's actually something I didn't realize. So Ctrl Z, enter, or all at once. Don't know what. Yeah, did I not? Control Z is giving me this. All right, that apparently does not work. So we are going to try the command exit. And then if you leave an empty parentheses thing, there's nothing in it. It's just gonna run whatever this function is. So after we hit enter, yo, you lied to me. What? Let's try it again. Ah, maybe that's all that needed to change, was that we just needed to exit that. Okay, so now we can install Visual Studio's code. Let's copy the link. All right, Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna go straight for the Windows download. I'm gonna save it. And we're gonna run it. Just agree. Add to path. So unlike last time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna read a little bit just so that we make sure we're doing everything right. Yep, click download and run the installer. Skip the following sections about Mac OS and follow the steps in running a Hello World Python on page 9. Okay, well, I guess we can just skip to page 9. So we're skipping to this section, so everything here should be fine. We're just gonna install. All right, we're gonna finish. know what this is about. Oh, yeah. I opened the text file in VS Code. See? And then you can use it instead of Notepad to read text files. It's great. Okay. So with a recent version of Python and VS Code installed, you're almost ready to run your first Python program written in a text editor. But before doing so, you need to install the Python extension for VS Code. Installing the Python extension for VS Code. VS Code works with many different programming languages. To get the most out of it, as a Python programmer, you'll need to install the Python extension. This extension adds support for writing, editing, running Python programs. To install the Python extension, click the Manage icon, which looks like a gear in the lower left corner of the VS Code app. That's this. Okay. In the menu that appears, click Extensions, enter Python in the search box, and click the Python extension. If you see more than one extension named Python, choose the one supplied by Microsoft. Click Install and install any additional tools that your system needs to complete the installation. If you see a message that you need to install Python and you've already done so, you can ignore this message. If you're using macOS, which I'm not, so we're going to ignore that. So we're going to go to Extensions. Reload required. Sure. Don't know what that means. I think I fixed it. I don't. Yeah. All right. Okay. This is the default menu, I believe, right here. So now we are going to be doing our first program. Finally, I know, right? After what, half an hour? Just talking. Running the hello world.python. Before you write your first program, make a folder called Python work on your desktop for your project. It's best to use lowercase letters and underscores for spaces in file and folder names because Python uses these naming conventions. So just to make your life easier, my life easier, that's basically what we're gonna do. I, however, have a different one. And we're gonna rename this folder. Hold on, I don't know why I'm being an idiot. What did it say to name it? Python work? Python underscore work. And then we're gonna add underscore YouTube. Okay, now we have an empty folder for it. We're just gonna close that real quick. And then we're gonna pull back up this stuff. Okay. It's best to use lowercase. Yep. You can make this folder somewhere other than desktop, but it will be easier to follow some later steps if you save the Python work folder directly on your desktop. Open VS Code and close the Get Started tab if it's still open. Make a new file by clicking File, New File, or pressing Control N or Command N, I think is what that is, on Mac OS. Save the file as hello-world.py in your Python work folder. The extension .py tells VS Code that your file is written in Python and tells you how to run the program and highlight the text in a helpful way. After you've saved your file, enter the following line in the editor. So what this failed to elaborate on was the fact that unless you save the file name before you start making your code, you're not going to get the added benefits of your code editor to know that you are working in Python. So this is a necessary step before you start coding. You need to name your file with the file extension name .py before, or whatever else you're trying to code in, before you start coding. So we're just gonna do new file. What's this? Python file. And then we're gonna save as. and we're going to navigate to our desktop. We're going to go to Python Work YouTube, and then we are going to just name this the way it told us to name it, hello world.py. Oh, wait. Lowercase. Hello world.py. I'm going to save. Okay, so you can see the file name changed over here. And now we're just gonna enter this exact, so this is the file name, just in case you're confused by why it's saying it twice. This is what we're going to quote unquote code. So we're just gonna come in, print, same as our function before. So you can ignore all of this because these are other functions that we are not going to be using right now. And then we are going to put the quotations. And now we are going to say, hello, Python world. Oh, but that is lowercase right there. And so another thing that I forgot to mention earlier that you'll find out later is that these quotations are telling Python to print exactly how this is written. So you see how this is lowercase and this is capital? Without these quotations, Python doesn't know the difference between an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter. So you can do it for yourself so you can visually see the difference between two lines of code, but Python itself isn't going to know that one's an uppercase, one's a lowercase. So now that we've done that, let's just go in and hit save real quick. You can hit Control S, same thing. I'll probably be doing Control S from now on. It's just so that you can see that there is different ways to do it. Okay, to run your program, select run without debugging, or press Control F5. A terminal screen should appear at the bottom of the VS Code window showing your program's output. So let's do, where's this run button? Oh, right there. Run without debugging. Trust the workspace. And it's going to open up a little terminal window. Okay, so we already got our first trace back. You'll likely see some additional output showing Python interpreter was used to run your program if you want to. Oh, hint. So a traceback is just an error, and it is Python telling you that something you did doesn't work. So you need to figure out where it is that you messed up. Luckily, it points you in a direction. So it's telling me right here, it doesn't know what this is because I am the error. The code editor is never the error, as you will painstakingly find out. It is that dude who constantly argues with you and is never wrong. And then you have to go on a little deep dive on your phone to try and prove yourself right, only to figure out that you were wrong the whole time. So we can fix this by saying print. Now if we save that, I should have just Control S, I don't know what I'm doing. And we go run without debugging. Hello world, or hello Python world. It has spit out the correct, now, it has spit out the correct output. Right, you'll likely see some additional output showing Python interpreter that was used to run your program. If you want to simplify the information that displayed so you can see your program's output, see Appendix B. You can also find helpful suggestions about how to use VS Code more efficiently in Appendix B. If you don't see this output, something might have gone wrong in the program. Check every character on the line you entered. Did you accidentally capitalize print? Did you forget one or both of the quotation marks or parentheses? Programming languages expect very specific syntax. Syntax is the grammar that the language uses. And if you don't provide that, you'll get errors, like I did. If you can't get the program to run, see the suggestions in the next section. So these are a bunch of different troubleshooting things that you can do to try and figure out whether or not your code might run, but we're just going to skip over that for now. Running Python programs from a terminal. So instead of running through here, what is this? No, that's not what I want. You run most of your programs directly from your text editor. However, sometimes it's useful to run programs from a terminal instead. For example, you might want to run an existing program without opening it for editing. You can do this on any system with Python installed if you know how to access the directory where the program file is stored. To try this, make sure you've saved hello world.python file in the Python work folder on your desktop. This is a very useful thing to know how to do. You can open up pretty much any file that runs code in your command terminal window, whatever it's called. And then in the terminal, you can use the command cd for change directory, that's what it's short for, to navigate through your file systems in a command window. So that's this. Your cd starts just as your whatever, and then you can go over to your desktop and then into your folder and then run your code. So we're going to do that now. We're going to open back up the command prompt, and we are basically going to follow this to a T to open up this line of code. And it's going to run in here rather than in that tiny little window that we saw down here. So we're going to do the command cd. Oh, I forgot to finish reading this. The command dir, short for directory, shows you all the files that exist in the current directory. Open a new terminal window and enter the following commands to run hello world. Okay, so we're going to do cd, and then this has to be capital. Desktop. Actually, maybe it doesn't. Let me try. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. So instead, what we can do is do cd, I believe, desktop, and then / Python _ work _ YouTube. Well, yeah. What if I just do cd? Nope. What if I do cd Python _ work _ YouTube? Okay, now we are in the correct file. So if you did like what I did and you go to just desktop first, then all you have to do is, Mommy, why are you texting me in the middle of this? I might be coming into town. And yes, that is my text tone. Where were we? So now we can do directory. So this is what it should look like. Your new thing should be able to do this. Volume in drive C has no label, blah, 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 blah. Okay. One file, two directories, hello world.py. And then we are going to tell it to run Python as the language of choice, and then space, hello world.py. And it prints whatever code is in this file. So that's how you do that. First, use the cd command to navigate to the Python work folder, which is in the desktop folder. Next, use the directory command to make sure the hello world.py is in this folder. Yep, that's what we just did here. And then most of your programs will run fine directly from your editor. However, as your work becomes more complex, you'll want to run some of your programs from a terminal. Maybe not all. Right? So this is the try it for yourself section. This is mainly where all your assignments to say are going to be. So python.org, we have gone to python.org. I'm going to let you guys do this on your own. I'm not going to do this with you. Explore the Python homepage, find topics that interest you. So if you're not like me and you don't want to learn how to code to make games, or even just like rudimentary like code, then you can start at the Python home screen, see what you can do with Python, and go from there. Follow a path that excites you. It's my only real advice in this whole thing. Hello world typos. Open the hello world Python file you just created. Make a typo somewhere in the line and run the program again. Can you make a typo that generates an error? Can you make sense of the error? Can you make a typo that doesn't generate an error? Why do you think it didn't make an error? We already did that. We did that immediately with Pint. Pint hello Python world. So did that. Infinite skills. If you had infinite programming skills, what would you build? You're about to learn how to program. If you had end goal in mind, you'll have an immediate use for your new skills. Now is a great time to write brief descriptions of what you want to create. It's a good habit to keep an ideas notebook that you can refer to whenever you want to start a new project. Take a few minutes to describe 3 programs that you want to create. So I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I work in a restaurant, and we have little ordering devices to say. And what you can do from there is you see a map of the entire restaurant, where your tables are, which tables have tabs on them, like what time that tab got started. And you can see what time, well, now you can see what time something got put in. And that time feature, super helpful. Like now I can contest a guest when they say they've been waiting for 30 minutes when they put in their order 3 minutes ago. So obviously that's not going to blow over well with them. So use it at your discretion kind of thing. But something that I thought about making just for myself is like a multi-timer where I can set multiple like stopwatch timers. And so when a table sits down, I can just hit a button that starts a rolling stopwatch. That way I can see how long it's been since I've touched a table. So let's say, arbitrary numbers here. Table 4. They came in at 3 o'clock on the dot. I hit that stopwatch timer as soon as I'm going to that table with their waters or whatever their first touch is. And then whenever we get their food out or whatnot, I'll hit a little like lap button or something that tells me, okay, from table touch to food, it took this long. Or I can even use that as a gauge for how long to wait before going back to a table. So once I hit that food received lap button, only I will probably know that it's for that reason. It's just a regular lap button. Like if you have an iPhone, it's the same as that timer, just with like multiple simultaneously running stopwatches. Don't know how complicated that's going to be or if that already exists, but I want to code it for myself. And then, yeah, it's literally as simple as that. Just a multi-timer, multi-stopwatch or whatever. Another thing I wanted to make is like a gamified habit tracker or like reminder system. I don't know. There's already a lot of them out there to base off of. I tried using Habitica before, and I used it for a while, but I must say I hated using it. And honestly, just so that I wouldn't lose progress, sometimes I would just lie and say I did something that was like um drink water or something really dumb, and just like yeah, I don't want to lose progress on this just because. Uh, one more program. I don't really have any other programs. Like I wanted to make my own like Pokemon fan game. I wanted to do it for a while. I think I have an interesting spin on the mainline series that I haven't really seen anyone attempt to make yet. I'm not going to reveal that yet until I can figure out how to make it myself because I don't want other more talented people making my idea before me. And if it never comes to light, hey, then that'll die with me. But it's also not a revolutionary idea, so someone may beat me to it, in which case I can't be mad because I'm the one who put this off for so long. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. We're going to be going into. Oh, no, did I just knock out oh, my mouse? Mouse, come back. Oh no. Well, we're going to be going into this. There we go. We're going to be going into chapter 2, where we're going to be going over our first set of functions other than print. Oops. So, hope you guys found this somewhat useful. We didn't really do a whole lot. The next chapter, I promise, we'll probably get a lot more into it. And then, who knows? Maybe we'll talk about more interesting things now that we have like actual things to think about. All right. Thanks for stopping by. See you guys in the next one. Ahui ho.